subscribers and viewers. Welcome back to the world tour of book acquaintances and discussions. Heartfelt thanks for all the support and encouragement you have given to Pusthakapathayam. On this World Book Day, I would like to draw your attention to the new playlist of our Pusthakapathayam named Fragrance of Readings, which includes English reviews of notable works. The first book in the Fragrance of Readings is The Gun Island by the famous Indian-Bengali writer Amitav Ghosh. He won the 54th JNANPITH Award in 2018. Amitav Ghosh's Gun Island, published in 2019, is a lucidly honest fiction, presents the growing concerns of the planet in simple and captivating language. Dr. Vidya Merlin Varghese shares her analysis of this book with us. She is an assistant professor at the Department of English, Baselius College, Kottayam, Kerala. Now, let's travel through the world of Gun Island with Dr. Vidya Merlin Varghese.
Hello. Today I'll be presenting my review on the book titled Gun Island by Amitav Ghosh. Gun Island came out in 2019, and Amitav Ghosh is a well-known figure. He is most widely read for his issues on contemporary aspects. And that is why I have taken for analysis, or my review is on the work Gun Island. Now, when we talk about Gun Island has got contemporary relevance. Contemporary relevance because it's not just an eye opener on issues that are related to climate change, depleting ecosystem, mass migration of species on land and sea, but it's also about refugees. But what made me choose this novel as such is it's the wonderful story that evokes within the readers a sense of love, not just for the stories, but through those stories within the narrative, we are able to ponder upon issues that have got contemporary significance. There are many stories in the text, but it is primarily the tale of the gun merchant that draws together the lives of the characters in the text. Now, when we talk about the characters, there are three principal figures. There are three principal figures in the whole text of the novel as such. The person who's narrating the story is Dinanath Dutt, who's often referred to as Deen. He is the narrator and he is primarily a book dealer who's residing in Brooklyn. So this man happens to reach Calcutta, that is where the story begins. And once he's there, he is brought there because his cousin is the one who brings him to Calcutta or asks him to reach Calcutta to conduct a survey or a study about the gun merchant. So as I said in the beginning, there are a lot of stories, and it's the story of the gun merchant that brings together or entwines the lives of the principal characters. And the first character is Deen. Then we have, he's the narrator. Then we have Pia. Pia is a friend, and Pia, many of you might be aware of Pia. Pia is actually a character who was there, who first comes in his text, Hungry Tide. And it is said that Gun Island is actually an extended version of the issue that was raised in Gun Island. The Hungry Tide, and that same issue has been expanded on a broader perspective. I'll come to that later. And the third principal figure is Cinta, who's a historian residing at Venice. So these three figures, they are people staying at different parts of the world, and they come together. One person is in America, one person has come to Calcutta, another person is in Venice. So the link between the lands and the figures, okay, as actually is through the stories that bring them together. So these stories are what these stories evoke within the readers a sense of love for the stories. At the same time, it turns out to be a mirror that will open up so many issues that have got significance in our contemporary era. So we begin by talking about, so each of the characters, they are living their own individual way of life, but they are entwined not because of the stories. And there's one more thing that connects all of them together. It's their consciousness about the altering face of their environment, their land, their people, and they unite together to save not just their lives, but also the lives of the beings, the fellow beings, which includes both human and non-human beings. So together they combine, and it's their collective effort that brings about an environmental awareness along with dissipating the message of the common goodwill will always bring positive effects upon the environment. So how does Ghosh begin the story? Okay, he begins off by, I'll just read the opening line. The opening line is, the strangest thing about the strange journey was that it was launched by a word. I repeat, the strangest thing about the strange journey was that it was launched by a word. Then Ghosh goes on to elaborate upon what that word is. That word is banduk, which means gun. Gun in many languages, including his own mother tongue. And then he goes on to say that there was no rifle, no gun in the course of him embarking. Him means Dinanath embarking upon this journey. And precisely that is what draws the attention of not just the readers, but the character too, Dean. Okay, what perplexed him all throughout is, what is the significance of the title Gun? See, the title of the novel is Gun Island, and gun actually means Bonduk, and it's a story about the Bonduki Saudagar, which can be translated as the gun merchant. Then what has it got to do with the gun island? That's the whole story about. So this story of the gun merchant was something that was the people of Bangladesh, or you can say modern present day Bangladesh and Calcutta, it was earlier known as the Bangla, the land. Okay, so this land, this gun merchant lore, or the story of the Banduki Saudagar or the gun merchant, he is actually a gun merchant who embarked upon a journey from Calcutta to Venice, okay, as part of his expedition to do business across the land. So he had to cross through the Sundarbans, and crossing the Sundarbans was not an easy task. And in this task, he was blessed or helped by Manasa Devi, who is actually the goddess of the snakes. So Manasa Devi protects him all throughout, and on his return, he builds a shrine for Manasa Devi. He has to face a lot of issues when he crosses the borders. So the story of the Ganduki Saudagar entwines the lives of characters living in different parts. So in the narrative, Ghosh himself says, you mustn't underestimate the power of stories. There is something in them that's elemental and inexplicable. So Dean, the primary figure, he arrives at the shrine. He hears about the gun merchant's tale, and then in the course of embarking upon his own journey, he identifies that there are many similarities between the place where he was born and brought up and the lives or the places from which his friends are coming up. And that best friend, his greatest friend, is the historian named Sinta, and she is the one who helps him connect the link between the different parts. There are so many loose ends. So when we talk about the lives or the triangular relationship, we have Dean, we have Sinta, we have Pia. So it's the story of the gun merchant that brings them together. It's the narrative of Manasa Devi. It's about Sundarbans, and it's primarily the poem, which the gun merchant's poem. Okay, there is a poem that has been presented to him by his cousin Neelima, and it is this poem, the loose ends of the poem, is what is being resolved, or that helps them realize many aspects about many facts about the changing environment, or through the story that is the gun merchant, joins Dean to Pia, Pia to Sinta, and they are able to unravel the story, or it leads to a cultural sharing, a mutual bond of consideration. Okay, consideration or their cultural narratives, the story of the gun merchant, the story of Manasa Devi, the story of the Black Madonna. So the characters have a concern for their lands, their lives, and the people around them. So this turns out to become a text that focuses on people who are fighting for just causes. Okay, causes in the sense, just in the sense that for causes like rights of migrants, climatic change, pollution. Then you have agencies that torture people. Okay, so all these people, be it Sinta, be it Pia, be it Dean, they are focusing upon, they are working together for a common goodwill. And what is their common goodwill? Their environment and their culture, the people and the places, the stories that they narrate and what they speak about. Okay, it has got, it turns out to be a different perspective about nature, about environment, about their relations. So the rapid change, the rapid environmental changes have been indicated through the stories. The stories talk about a lot of incidental resemblances with events that occurred in the past. Okay, so there, like in the past, there was a forceful transportation of the migrants or the laborers from during the period of the colonial dominance. There was a forceful illegal migration, and now we have people are migrating from one land to another. Either it's because of poverty or because their place has become unsuitable for them to live, or you can say because of the environmental incompatibility, people are forced, or you can say the governmental impositions upon the people are forcing them, or the restrictions put upon the people, the pressure that the people have to face, all this makes them move from one land to another. So through the stories, what is being revealed, okay, this kind of a change in the environment is something, okay, the formation or dissolution of cities. Bangladesh was once a port city. The climate change or the imbalance or climatic disruptions had led to so many issues. And then he even talks about how Sundarbans has changed. The fall of the Venice and Ottoman Empire, the fall of the Mughal Empire, how trade and commerce led to vast expansion on one side, and again it led to demographic change. So all these narratives are focusing upon one main aspect, and that main aspect is that the people over there are interconnected. Their culture, their land, it has got much to do. It talks about the environmental changes in India. It's actually the dolphins dying. Pia is studying about that. People are migrating to the neighboring lands because of the cyclone. Okay, you have continuous cyclones coming and affecting the lives of the people. Venice, which was a port for spice trade, it was known as Banadique in the olden times, and it was actually a very what do you say, very vibrant cosmopolitan place in the 17th century. People used to come to Venice. There was a lot of crossing between people. But now what has happened? Now climatic changes have affected Venice too. Hunger, disease, rising water levels, the island being washed away, human trafficking, all these things are highlighted, or these issues are there behind the so-called pleasant atmosphere that is being presented over there. Then in America too, we have the massive fires, snakes, migration of people. So what each character is sharing their own cultural narrative through their stories, and through these stories, what a greater truth is being highlighted. And what is the highlighted when the truth is that for an environmental change or something to for some action to be done, it cannot be done by an individual. But when people unite, when it's a collective effort, miracles can occur. There can come up agencies or groups that will do something to support the refugees, to understand the environmental changes. Okay, so each and every aspect in the text is very significant, because we are living in an age when dissent, disregard, and differences has become the new norm. Okay, there's a lot of focus on attention on how things are changing. It's not just the physical borders that are changing, mental borders are also changing. And this text turns out to be a very significant one in the sense that it will facilitate meaningful discussions on issues that burn within the mind of every reader. And Ghosh is trying, see, the whole text is split into two parts. That is, part one is on begins with Calcutta and ends with a note on what the Gun Island was, and then part two begins with Venice. So Calcutta and Venice, the similarity between Calcutta and Venice, how the Gun Island is significant as far as Calcutta and Venice is concerned. Similarly, how the climatic changes turn out to become warnings about the changing scenario. And Ghosh is reminding the readers that the change, we are all living in a very, what do you say, a very complacent mood, imagining that our perfect home and everything will remain so. But lives have been affected, especially during the COVID times. One realization is that when a disease comes from somewhere all of a sudden, nobody is safe or no one is free of anything. Okay, you're open to attacks. The world has changed. And it's not just diseases, it's climatic changes also that has affected relationships. It has disturbed the environmental balance, the ecological balance, and it has a very deadly impact upon the lives and the land. And Ghosh, towards the concluding part of the text, he says, we are in a new world now. No one knows where they belong anymore, neither humans nor animals. So that's the significance of this text. That is the balance, or what is the relationship between environment and culture? What has the politics got to do? How can it be articulated? How are some issues being contested over here? Or what is the significance? What can be done as a human being? What can you do to realize the climatic turbulences, to notice the rapid changes? How the world is changing constantly. All these things are being highlighted, and it's high time. Ghosh is trying to present to us that it's high time that we take up a collective effort to change or to bring about, to do something for the land in which we are living. And that is how Ghosh turns out to be very significant, and the book is worth reading. So that's all I have to say. I hope you will read Ghosh's Gun Island. Thank you.